the very first keynote speech at the SheCodeAfrica Summit 2023. I expect an applause for that. Yes. Our very first keynote speaker is a dynamic and multi-dimensional woman. She wears a number of hats, but I think the particularly exciting thing about her is that she's extremely well-read and she has a lot of experience. With over 18 years experience across technology, management, consulting, and business, she has worked with governments, multilaterals, and global corporations to drive digital transformation in Africa. She's also very passionate about inclusion and diversity for young girls and African women. And I think she is the best person to give us a head start on today's conference. So please, a round of applause for our very first keynote speaker. Thank you very much. Thank you. Look lovely.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Hey, I got here today and I was like, hi. It seems I missed the memo. I should have just been wearing pink. If I wore pink, I would have just been included in the Ashwebi. But I like to stand out as well. So, but it's so beautiful. So this atmosphere is giving, somebody should help me, is giving what? Give me one word. Happy. Barbie. It's giving Barbie. Okay, but it's also giving what? Me, I think it's just giving excellent female energy. And it's amazing. It's always an honor to do things like this and to speak to women. Someone said, look at yourself when you were that age. It dialed back. It dialed back to a lot of suffering. I went to a federal government school. So I went to Federal Government College, Odogbolu. So it dialed back to my boarding house days. I was like, oh my God. You know, but it also dialed back to a time in my life where I actually didn't know a lot, right? So I was a little clueless. I just knew that I was a really bright student. I knew, I was doing well in school, but I really didn't know what I was going to do next. In fact, I think I was a little too bright because I could either be a lawyer or be in science class. I could do everything. So it was kind of confusing. But we're here now. Started from the bottom, now we're. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm just going to start by telling you guys a little bit about my journey, how I got into tech, what led me here. I'll just start by telling you a little bit about myself. My name is Mojolaoluwa, Aderemi-Makinde. I've been in tech for many years, but also I have worked for many years as well. I like to introduce myself as a human being first, so I'm all these things. And you'll see that at the bedrock of that is my faith, right? My faith is what defines me. And I'm not saying anybody should be one religion or the other. That's not what this is about. But I just believe that in life, you need some form of anchoring. And for me, that's my anchor, right? I'm also a wife, a mother of two, a homemaker, a first daughter. I take that very, very seriously. My mom turned 80 a few weeks ago, actually, and I had the privilege of celebrating 80 years for my father and my mother within the space of 2 years. So, as a first daughter, I'm not the only child. I have older brothers, but as a first daughter, my role is really, really significant. I take it seriously because I suffer a lot. But also apart from that, I'm also a passionate, impact-driven business leader. And by that really means that my work, for me, work is a lot about, not just about making money, but not just about driving revenue, but it's about, what are the lives that is changing. Mentor and advise on various boards, introverted, extrovert. So people will think, oh, you know what, I'm, really friendly, but it's also I really like my space. But there's so many things about me. I think that in one of those slides I said, I'm a recovering perfectionist. I'm very detail-oriented. I guess because I'm in tech, that's not surprising. But also I'm a recovering perfectionist, right? Because I learned in life that wasn't serving me. In a lot of ways, you have to fail. I remember a few years ago, someone said I should keynote, actually to do a fireside chat at a WomenInTech conference. And And she said I needed to talk about failures. It was quite a couple of years ago, and I could not find content. Seriously. I was struggling. And I was like, why can I not find or refer or actually reflect on my failures? Or why can I not just find examples? And someone would say, is that not good? Especially the ones in secondary school, because at your age, I would have said, is that not good? But it was not good. It was actually a really terrible thing. And from then on, I started being really conscious of it, of really understanding what my fear of failure was. I will talk a little bit more about that. I'm not controlling these things, though. I didn't touch it. Okay, please go back. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I'm all these things because of these 4 pillars. And I like to talk about them in terms of my faith and my values, the things I've learned, support, and choices. First, I've talked a little bit about my faith, so I'll leave that. In terms of learning, first of all, learning about myself. I started talking a little bit about that and talking about a time in my life where I realized that I had no examples of failure. Maybe because I was mentally blocking it, also because I was a perfectionist and I wasn't taking enough risks. So learning about yourself is also really critical, but also the third pillar is around choices. For me, it's around the things that I say yes to and the things that I say no to. The boundaries I create for myself. Earlier in my career, I used to say yes to almost everything. So like, oh, can you do this? Yes. Can you be here? Yes. Can you speak here? Yes. But over time, I realized, 1, I was burning out. 2, I was not focused. So meaning that I wasn't focused, meaning I wasn't moving far enough in the direction in which I wanted to go. And so I had to learn to say no. I had to learn to say no to some things and to build my boundaries, right? But also saying no is not just around the workplace, but saying no is also in your personal life. How do you say no to things that really just don't serve you? And maybe because, again, as I said, I'm a first daughter, so a lot of things get dumped on my plates. So how do you create boundaries that are kind, but at the same time help you as an individual to move forward? Beyond that, I also started saying yes very clearly because I got the clarity in terms of where I wanted to go in my career. And so I started saying yes to things. I remember there was a time that a colleague of mine came to me and she was like, oh, are you going to, I can't make this judging panel for this federal government thing. Can you please judge this startup thing? It was a couple of years ago, like 2018 or so. And it was an immediate yes. And she was looking at me like, I just said yes. And I was like, because I know, right? Because it's aligned with my plan. So if you have a plan, if you know where you're going, if you're focused, if you're kind of narrow on that path, it will be clear the things that you need to say yes and the things that you need to say no to. But the last one was around support, right? And support is really important. I think the first Lightning Talks lady, Mojolaoluwa, actually alluded to that as well. We are not, an island. No one is created an island, right? So you need the support of others. You need the hand of your sisters there. You need the relationships, some of the relationships you're going to make in this room today. Some of them are going to be monumental, right, for you. Some of them are going to be defining. And some of them you will not even realize till many years to come. They're like, where did I know that person from? I met them at so-and-so conference, right? But community is important. The support around you is important in your personal and professional lives. People talk about the role of women in many ways, right? And people always ask me this question, how do you do it, right? You have a family, you have kids, you're married, but you also have this really demanding work and job in tech, you travel a lot. How do you do these things? And I say it's absolutely impossible without my support network. Absolutely impossible. Absolutely impossible without the people that I hire. And when I talk about this, I always like to say to people, also remember to appreciate the people that support you. Appreciate them. Pay helps. Surround yourself with people that would help you, but also appreciate them, show gratitude, say thank you, like Mojolaoluwa said earlier. Next slide, please. So how do we all do it? Next slide. Here, I really just want to leave you guys with some things to ponder on. So, next slide, please. I just want to leave you with some things to ponder on. And those things are going to be phrased around 5 questions. Next slide. One is who you are. Who are you? If I ask you today, who are you? And you don't have to answer. You don't have to feel the pressure to answer. Just write it down or note it down or take a picture, whichever one you prefer. Who are you as an individual? How do you define yourself? When you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you see? When others look at you, what do they see? So first of all is understanding that unique value that you bring to the world. I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I'm a computer science major. A lot of people don't believe that. I remember one of my bosses in consulting told me, "Oh, I thought you studied English." I looked at the guy. I was like, "Actually, I studied computer science, and I'm techie, but it's okay, you know." And that was many years ago. So what's your unique value? I studied computer science, but in my second year of University of Lagos, any Akokites here? Woo! In my second year of university in University of Lagos, Akokites, you guys must show yourselves. Yes, I love it. I love the energy. So in my second year of university, I realized very quickly that I wasn't going to be a software engineer. Curiosity led me to tech, right? It was basic curiosity. It was the fact that I wanted to just understand how things could be done more efficiently. It was the fact that I wanted to know how a computer could actually solve problems. That was it. But also, when I started coding, we had really terrible teachers, lecturers then. But, God forgive them, they were really bad. It was C++. I remember the class. It was torture. I have, PTSD just thinking about it. And I remember, learning to code for the first time and coding. And for me, because I was also a perfectionist, I would get to the end. I would want to do everything perfect. Perfect. And then I'll get to the end and there will be bug. It was just the worst. It was the worst feeling. That was my frustration, and I realized that I wasn't going to be a software engineer. But I knew that I was going to always be in tech because I really understood the power of technology to solve basic human problems and to really enable the human race. So I knew I was going to be there, and I began to define my niche. I knew that, when it was requirement gathering, design, all these kind of things, I was there. That was one of the things that were exciting me. So I'm saying this story for someone that is thinking, maybe tech is not for me. No, it is, right? In all of my career, I've never been a software engineer. But because I have a technology background or I have a computer science background, I understand, the technical side of things. And it gives me a certain level of comfort. So if you're thinking, maybe, especially for the young ones, this tech thing, maybe I'll just go and do something else and everything. I also had dreams. I also wanted to be a fashion designer. So let's not go there. There are many things that you can be in the course of your life, but don't also rule out the fact that, technology is for you or it's not for you, right? Because you can find your niche. I found my niche. I found my niche in the business side of technology. I love it. I think it's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, alongside other things, right? But again, just to say, find your niche. Know exactly your unique value that you bring to tech and stick there. I love the way the previous speaker talked about data and analytics and how she actually found a place there as well. Next slide, please. The second one is, who is influencing you and who are you influencing? I'm not talking about the self-you. Hi guys, today, I'm not talking about hi guys. Hello YouTubers, I'm not talking about that one. Who is influencing you and who, that is good too, by the way, before the Gen Zs have my head. That is also very nice. However, what I'm talking about here is who is influencing you and who are you influencing? Who are you looking up to? I'm a firm believer that you cannot be what you cannot see. So if you want to change someone's life, you have to make sure, or you want to change your own life, you have to make sure that you change their paradigm. You have to make sure that you change what they're seeing of themselves. And that could be physical, but that could also be mental and internal. So ask yourself, who are my role models? Who are the people that I'm looking up to and why? Because sometimes we believe perfection in other people. So basically, if you look at Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, you believe that, the woman can never make a mistake in her life. She can never fight with her husband. Neither can she ever slap her son. I'm not talking about that in terms of looking at perfectionists, making people idols, but looking at them in terms of like some of the things they've accomplished and how can you, and if you desire it, how can you begin to edge towards that? But also, it's also about who are you influencing? Because maybe you like it or not, you are also beaming a light. And you need to be conscious of what you're shining and what you are projecting out there. I'm here giving a keynote speak today. It could be any one of you in this room doing that. And everybody has their stage in one form or the other. But who are you influencing and what are you influencing them by? Next slide, please. The third is, are you hungry? This is a little vivid. And my friends talk about how I have to always talk about food when I speak. I like food a lot. But are you hungry? What are you eating and what are you shitting? Ask yourself that question. What are you eating, meaning what are you ingesting? Or let's start from, are you hungry? How ambitious, how badly do you want this? When they talk about tech bro and tech sis, how badly do you want it? Or do you want it just for the fad? So just say, oh, I'm a tech bro, tech sis, and I'm getting paid dollars in Nigeria. Is that your goal? Part of the goal. You guys are sharp. High five, high five, high five. You guys are sharp. It has to definitely be part of the goal. But that's not the only goal. That's not the only goal. Because if money is your only goal, you'll get to a point where it would all make no sense. Right? What are you ingesting? What are you putting in terms of your skills development? Bravo to all of you for being in a conference such as this, attending the workshops that follow. What are you putting in? How are you developing yourself? And what are you actually shitting? What are you getting rid of? Some of us, people can never give us feedback. There are people that you come here and say, call you on the phone and say, Shade, that thing that you did, I don't like it. What do you mean? This, you are jealous. Is it because you did not get the scholarship? That's what will follow. Say, oh, you didn't even let her land. So say that thing you did, the way you said it, or the way you approached it, or the way you managed the team was XYZ. It's all about, the purging process. And I'm not saying all feedback is good, because not all feedback is great, right? Some feedback is useless. Some feedback is useless, definitely. But you have to also know how to select things on your plate, what you put in, what you let go of, what you release. Right? Next slide, please. The fourth one is your circle, and we talked a little bit about this in terms of community. The previous speaker spoke about it as well. I'm looking forward to the kind of collaborations and partnerships that will form from this group. Some people are going to start businesses here together, and they've never met each other before outside of this conference. Open your mind to that. Someone is going to say, I'm doing something similar. And you're like, I'm doing that too. Open your mind to that. And don't think, hey, she's going to steal my idea. She's not going to steal your idea. We're going to figure out a way to work together so that we win together. Last slide, please. The last slide is, how are you showing up? And that is really around one thing that I'm really passionate about, because we talk about, the space for women in tech, the things that we take. The fact that we're even wearing pink today is just beautiful, because we all didn't come here wearing black, looking like men. We put a feminine touch, to this conference. So what are you promoting? I spoke somewhere once and I was saying, and someone asked me a question, how do you survive in a work environment with men? And I said to them, and she's a young mother, right? How does she, say she's taking time off, her daughter is sick, but this thing, that one. And I said, you need to think about the legacy that you are building. So if today, as a woman in tech, you cannot raise your hand and say, actually, I'm going on maternity leave and I need it for 3 months or for 6 months or for whatever time, you are basically closing the door to the women behind you. Because somebody is going to think, because you follow that path, everybody else should. They're going to define the woman, the next woman coming, by your own standard. Or because they'll say, I can't take time off, I can't go pick my child in school, and things like that. Who says? It's such a dynamic world where tech is so output driven. And if you have the right employer, you really have the right flexibility. But if you begin to behave like men, if you understand what I'm saying, you are basically not helping all of us. And most especially, you are not helping the women behind you. So what are you projecting? What are you advocating for? How conscious are you about the things that you are doing that they're going to use to define all of us? And with that, I've come to the end of my speech because I know that my time is up as well. And I coined this, right? Behind a successful woman is a village of helpers. Know your helpers. Use your helpers. Don't be shy about it. Say, every time, is it me that will take my children to my mom's house? Or every time, is it me that's going to go and ask for help from this person to help me, show me, how to do X, Y, Z at work. Use your helpers. But lastly, appreciate and be thankful to your helpers. Show gratitude. With that, thank you so much. And well done to all of you for being here.